This is too much, dude. I can't watch this. That shit is like, it's too much to watch.
Yeah. We talked last night, or about this, where there's a second video where the guy's dripping blood, and he is in a separate passenger car. But there you see a bunch of people that just sort of watch the horror on that woman's face. Like, she didn't even realize, and like, I don't know. I've never been stabbed.
Well,
in a
she's in
terrible way.
shock.
Yeah, and just watch the horror in her face. Like, what did I do? That's the look that's on her face. Well, you sat down in diversity. That's what you did, and unfortunately, that's the way it goes now. We have to sort of pretend that these sort of things aren't occurring on public transit and in inner cities all across this country, and that there's not expressed hatred for people for things like being Christian, being white, and that's
See,
unfortunately
this
the consequence.
comment captures the entirety of it. She
Yep.
didn't realize that she had just died. She didn't know.
Yeah.
And so what was captured on her face with the look of abject horror. She doesn't even understand what just happened, right? So you can imagine you're there one day and you're snuffed out immediately within a couple of minutes. And of course, the other thing that I think people miss, I was looking at various takes about this on X earlier, and they were saying, "Hey, wait a second, why isn't everybody getting up and helping her and this and that?" And that's a terrible thing. I agree, but the other part is from her view. Think about it from her view. Nobody else is panicking. Nobody else is thinking anything's wrong, this and that. She must be in a bewildered state, right? And if nobody else is panicking, she thinks the problem's all her, right? Thinks the problem's all her. She's not screaming for help, nothing like that. She doesn't even realize what's going on. And that's also as much a part of the inaction as anything is by these people not doing anything, not even lifting a finger. It also put her in a much more immobilized state where she thinks maybe something else is going on than what actually is.
One of the things I think that connects to people so much about this is we always try to find reasons when you see something happen, even if it's someone innocent. Like you see someone that's shot and they're basically at a strip club or a crack house or something. You're like, well, I'm not the type of person that maybe would be at those places. And you're always trying to look for a rationale, like what did this person do, even if not guilty, to put themselves in that situation. And what's so striking here is, you want to know what the answer is? She sat in public transit. That's it. She wasn't looking at the guy. She wasn't like nothing. And like, I think that's one of the things that resonates with so many people is like, that could be you. That could be anyone that just believe the narrative that we have and how safe these cities are. And, oh, I'm just going to go about my business. I'm not going to make eye contact with anyone. I'm not going to give anyone a reason to be upset. And that's it. In a brief moment, your life's over. And you just lay there in horror as you wonder what just happened. I can't imagine like a more insane way to go out than that, just that quick.
Well, the other thing is I think for many people, the reason that this is so brutal to even think about is because of the complete and total lack of motivation behind it. So if they were in an altercation, they were screaming at each other, they had their fingers in their faces, things like that, it would be just as abhorrent, right? But at least you'd be able to wrap your head around that better. In this case, she just comes in and sits down, and then the guy just walks off. He doesn't even attack anybody else. And so you just want, like, what was even the point of any of that? And that's what makes it so terrifying and frightening. It's like Jason Voorhees in a forest, right? You don't know when he's going to pop up. The two teenagers are just trying to have sex in a tent, and suddenly they get right through the chest, right? Don't even know what happened. That's what made that character so terrifying. And that's what makes this guy so terrifying.
And I don't have this clip here. I should have put it in with the other jokers at CNN. I got one person at CNN coming up, but the video shows you could hear him saying on the newly released video today something like, "I got a white girl," and the idea that said, and we're being told the way that we'll get to it here in a second. The way that the national media is covering this is Republicans pounce. Oh, they're making it racial. These are the same people that, with no evidence whatsoever, had.
Whoops. Well, Rob up there, didn't he?
Yep.
He was right in the middle of a great ramp.
Yeah, he was going.
Bam.
He was cooking.
Yeah, he was going, bro.
There's a couple of comments in chat too about how like nobody, why didn't anybody help her and stuff like this. And like from what I see in the video, nobody gave a shit. Nobody cared.
It didn't. Yeah, it didn't appear like that. It appeared eventually people did go to her aid, but it was already way too late.
It was like 3 minutes.
And to Rob's point, Rob, I think you were pushing on the fact that this is clearly a hate crime, but they're doing everything possible to claim that it's not.
Meanwhile, with George Floyd, when we saw these riots, they pushed a racial narrative. There was zero evidence of that. None. But that was the narrative that they pushed. Here, imagine if Derek Chauvin would have said, I got me another black man, right? Imagine the streets on fire. But when it's a black man that kills an innocent white lady and says, like, I got me a white girl, CNN's like, I don't know why Republicans are pouncing on this and making it a racial thing.
Exactly. Well, not just that, but let us point out that there is a form that is going on now where more and more people are releasing more and more stuff like this. And because it's not being nearly as censored, especially on X, the public square, and you got to kind of give Elon credit for this, right? It's not being censored. And so these things are getting out into the public ethos, and it's actually a much more terrifying picture than people at one point realized.
Yep. So here's CNN.
I have to say, some of the replies to Musk, some of the comments around this story are baldly racist, stoking fear of African Americans because this man attacked a white woman. The open racism on sites like X today, it's eye-popping. But there are also legitimate questions about this so-called career criminal, someone who had been a repeat offender. And those questions, I hope they're not lost amid all of the cesspool kind of comments on social media.
I mean, it's surreal. You don't hate the press enough. You really don't. Yeah. And like you said, Elon has faults like all of us, but where would we be if social media, if Kamala had won and Elon didn't buy X and we went further ahead with the disinformation board, it would have censored people like us. The only places we'd been able to be is places like Rumble, right? And now with X, where you could actually see in real time, the mainstream media is dead. They are absolutely dead. They exist as propagandas to push up the establishment narrative. They do not hold truth to power. They bury the truth for the powerful. It is one of the most racist, disgusting things I've seen. Oh, you're upset that this guy bragged about killing a white lady? You must be racist to have a problem with that. It's surreal.
Well, and the thing is that this is why language is so important, right? Because by the metrics of how they define racist, everybody can't be racist except whites. Only whites can be racist, period. It's definitionally the case based on how they define it. So they say, well, it's open racism, but this wasn't racism. The guy's black, can't be racist. It's like, man, at this point, these types of games don't seem to be working as well anymore, do they?
Yeah. And I know you've debated this. The idea that racism equals like power plus prejudice is nonsensical to say that this means that black can't be racist, because what's more power than shoving that blade in someone's throat?
Well, what's more powerful than being able to say that that you're immune from being called racist? That is a form of power.
That's right.
That in and of itself is a form of power. And so it means I am not, or I'm completely immune from the very same criticisms that I would give you, just based on an immutable characteristic, which is racist in and of itself, right? It's a superiority complex in and of itself. So yeah, people aren't going for it. They're not going for it, and the story's viral everywhere. It's going to continue. And this was piggybacked right off of this other guy stabbing this kid in the chest at a football game where he stabbed him in the chest.
Yep.
And so it's like, and this isn't going away. Now, this guy, my understanding is that he had a GoFundMe. Is that correct? And it actually started getting money.
Yeah, and they took it down because GoFundMe was sort of shamed because they made a big, virtue signal during January 6th. Oh, you can't raise
didn't he
money.
Make tens of thousands?
There were people, I didn't see the final amount before they shut it down, but yeah. And we already played the clip. You have people all through TikTok, people of color, like, well, white people have this coming.
40,000 is what the chat is saying. I haven't verified that for those of you who are viewing, but that's what chat is saying. 40,000.
Chat's never wrong. They're the smartest chat out there, so they're not going to be wrong.
Well, they're with most things, but some things they get right.
Well, it's like, Rain Man, very good with numbers, right? They're good with that. So, but no, in all seriousness, like, I'm not saying that it's the majority of people of color or anything like that, but there are certainly a significant portion of people in color that legitimately hate white people, and they're chuckling that this woman died. And they don't want you to be able to say the truth. Scott Adams said this once. He talked about, what is it that white people have in this country that blacks don't? Well, go ahead and say what you want. But I'll tell you something blacks have that whites don't: free speech. because we're told that we can't call that out. We can't say, hey, when this man kills a white woman for no reason and then says, I got me a white girl, we're not allowed to talk about that, or that's racist.
Yeah.
You can kiss my ass. I'm glad that it seems the pendulum swinging back the other way. It's a conversation that needs to happen. And it's right on the backs of Trump absolutely making a salient point that crime's out of control in these cities. And yet all these Democrats like, oh, what are you, afraid to ride the bus? Yeah, you should be. Because this is the type of shit that happens because we have to pretend and virtue signal that these actual things aren't occurring and that everything's fine in these inner cities. Crime is a choice like this. Bukele showed us this. If Trump wants to crack down, if these Democrats wanted to crack down, then we could be much safer from this shit. But this is the world.
Well, the MSM can't even have an honest conversation about what's happening. It's not even possible. So they're never going to get any of the ratings back. If you wanted to have a successful news network now, you really could. But you would need to have actual open, honest dialogue about this in situations like this and the situations around immigration, this type of thing. And they're just not going to do it. And so they have essentially assured their own destruction because everywhere else on the internet, that is what's happening. And a guy with a baseball cap in his basement can do better news coverage and better in-depth debates about an issue than these multi-mega-million donor-backed news stations can. Something is seriously wrong, right? The whole thing is poisoned from the top down, and the elites are losing control of the narrative. You know, Trump, or not Trump, but Elon, in many ways, he did more to kind of strangle out the elites than anybody else just by letting people talk.
That's it. He's more of a threat to them than Trump. Because controlling their ideas are so shit that the only way that they can succeed is through controlling the narrative almost completely.
Mm-hmm.
It's not enough for them to have 99% control. They need 100% control. And so, yeah, I'm glad that Elon actually bought X, and there's a lot of conversations going there because I don't know where we'd be in a lot of this stuff had that not occurred. Here's an inversion of truth that will stick with me, and it's something that's I will never get over, and it was during the pandemic. Here we have Randy Weingarten. I don't give a shit if I pronounce her name right. She was the head of one of the largest teachers unions that was instrumental in communicating with the Biden White House to continue lockdowns for children and for schools. And here you're going to see Scott Jennings on CNN eviscerate her for trying to change the narrative around that.
We don't know each other, but speaking on behalf of millions of American parents, I have 4 at home. I had to teach them at home. My wife had to teach them at home. I am stunned at what you have said this week about your claiming to have wanted to reopen schools. I think you'll find that most parents believe you were the tip of the spear of school closures. There are numerous statements you made over the summer of 20 scaring people to death about the possibility of opening schools. And I hear no remorse whatsoever about the generational damage that's been done to these kids. I have 2 kids with learning differences. Do you know how hard it is for them to learn at home and not in a classroom that was designed for them? And for you to sit in front of Congress and the American people and say, oh, I wanted to open them the whole time. I am shocked. I'm stunned. I'm stunned. And there are millions of parents who feel the exact same way.
Okay. Well, it's really funny here is this guy in the nicest way possible, of course, said, you're a liar, right? You're lying through your teeth. But he also keys in on the thing that's the most important. No remorse. She doesn't care.
Yep.
She doesn't give a shit. And they never gave a and they're never going to give a
They're shameless. Ever. And they actually have contempt. They have contempt for us, the people, being pissed off at what they did. How dare these plebes get upset? You know, we waved our finger and said, you shall be locked down in home. And when your life was ruined, when your parents died in a nursing home alone, when your children weren't able to reach landmarks because they're forced to be locked down, when you lost your small business, they don't give a shit. They're like, you deserve that, right? Because we're right and you're wrong. So kiss our ass. And they didn't abide by their own orders. We see over and over again the people that were the most draconian. Gavin Newsom, that woman that looks like Beetlejuice in Chicago, I forget her name. All of them were with glee locking people down and then violating their own orders. They didn't give a shit. And so now they just invert the truth. They're like, no, we were never for lockdowns. That was you guys, not us. We were all for opening. And Scott Jennings nails it. It's that.
There's still weirdos wearing masks too, Rob.
Yep.
They're still doing it. They're still doing it. You remember during COVID when the weirdos were in their car with their masks on?
You still see it. Like if you drive around, you see these people in cars with masks. It's It's absolutely. I had a debate with this dude, this left-wing dude, and he was cheering for this. Remember, there was this gym in New Jersey that was like, yeah, screw you. We're not going to abide by these rules.
Yeah.
People don't have to wear masks. And so they were getting fined like $10,000 a day. And they're like, we don't give a shit. We're going to keep rolling. And I debated this lefty that was like adamant that like, screw these people, endangering people, not listening to the guidance. I said, whose guidance? He's like, oh, you know. I was like, you mean like the World Health Organization? Yeah. So I pull up their website. I'm like, are you aware of the fact that right now, and it's still to this day, the World Health Organization said, during the pandemic, you should not wear a mask while exercising. You shouldn't wear one 1X. So in other words, this guy's following the guidance from the one organization that Democrats are telling you. And yet still, how dare he subvert the local tyrant, New Jersey government or New Jersey mayors. It's all about control. And again, I thought that it was right along with that clip that we saw with CNN gaslighting us and inverting the truth about this bus stabbing. These people hate you. And they think that they're the arbiters of truth and that they're more moral than you and they're better than you. And they'll lie right to your face without remorse because they think you deserve it and that they're better than you.
Totally agree. Plebs,